Hi guys, Colesy, and today we're going to be looking at a new thing that Fierce PC are offering, which I think is very exciting. It's also very useful, and yes, obviously, it is PC component slash computer related, basically. So, that's a very strange way of me saying, Fierce PC are now selling motherboard bundles. But Adam, what is a motherboard bundle? Well, we're going to go through this today. But before we get on with today's video is actually sponsored by cdkoffers.com. They're a website that sells game keys and CD keys for software and things. It's a service that I've used in the past. In my case, I ordered a Windows 10 key to activate an old laptop, which I just reset up. I just put the key in to activate Windows that I bought from CDK Offers, and it just activated. It was simple as that. So now I'm running a full 100% genuine Windows 10 on that laptop as well. If you want to check it out, please go to the link in the description, and you can use code Colesy20, and that'll get you 20% off. But thank you, CDK Offers, for sponsoring today's video. It's a really awesome thing that Fierce PC are offering, especially with the whole graphics card market and the price of graphics cards being so expensive at the minute. Motherboard bundles make a lot more sense at the minute because you probably don't want to spend just insane prices for your new graphics card. That doesn't mean that you can't upgrade some of your PC, and obviously Fierce PC wants to enable you to do that by selling motherboard bundles, which are effectively the CPU, the motherboard, and the RAM. You're being able to still buy that and upgrade your PC without having to buy the expensive graphics card. Just at the minute, with the prices being just so insanely high because of the shortage. Here we are on Fierce PC. I'm probably gonna actually zoom in a bit because probably like there because it's very zoomed out on my monitor. Oh, also, yeah, let's mention this while we're here. I accidentally clicked on it, but yeah, Fierce PC are the official Red Bull Racing esports PC partner, which is awesome because I love myself some racing. It is one of my favorite things. I love Formula 1 racing. So the fact that now they're the official PC partner of Red Bull Racing Esports, that's super, super cool. So look, it's here on the screen. We might as well briefly mention it if you guys haven't seen it on Twitter. You'll see that we've got gaming PCs, next day PCs, gaming laptops, all the general normal stuff that we have along the top here. We have motherboard bundles now. So we can go to the motherboard bundles, and here are the bundles. These are pre-configured and ready to install. So I have double checked this with the Fierce PC just to make sure. So if you buy one of these motherboard bundles, it will come built. In my mind, the situation that I'm seeing this being useful to majority of people is you have a PC currently, you know, you've upgraded your graphics card, you've got a good graphics card, you know, that was maybe the last thing you upgraded, you've got a decent graphics card, you don't want to buy a new one, and you especially don't want to buy a new one with the prices being how they are, so you're happy to stick with that, but the rest of your PC needs an upgrade. That's why the bundles come in handy, because you can upgrade the CPU, the motherboard, and the RAM without having to change that graphics card. You can still keep your same graphics card because we know how hard they are to get hold of. I don't need to mention it again. Price is crazy. It says here, we stock powerful motherboards powered by Intel and AMD processors. CPUs and memory are pre-assembled and go through rigorous testing. Simply unbox and install into your existing case and you're ready to go. You may have bought a Fierce PC previously. You've bought this effectively sort of pre-built system and you haven't built a PC before. You know, you're a bit nervous how to do it. I still think it's a really good skill to be able to have if you're a PC gamer or you're getting into PC gaming, is being able to change parts in your own PC. I always recommend that you start from somewhere where you have the confidence that it's going to work. So buying a PC from Fierce PC is a great place to start because you know that your PC is going to work and it's going to be good out the box and perfectly fine. But then in a few years or whatever, when you want to start upgrading, then I think it's time for you to be able to tinker with your own PC, have a go, learn what you're doing. Obviously be safe and, you know, try and not break anything. That's the ideal situation. But being able to do something like this, where you're swapping out your motherboard for a new one with a new CPU on it, that's actually a really good sort of easy step to take. Because it comes pre-assembled, there's no need for you to have to put the CPU in the socket, which can be dangerous in terms of like breaking components. It can be as simple as you're moving the CPU to put it in the socket, slips out your hand, you drop it, the pins are bent on the CPU. That's just a horrible scenario to be in, but it could happen. These things happen. So the fact that these come pre-assembled means that it's a lot easier for you to do, because simply you'll have to undo the 6 screws or however many it is that screw the motherboard into the case, and then you'll just lift that whole motherboard CPU combo out that you had in and place this one in, and then do up a few screws. Everyone can take out a few screws and put a few screws. That's not difficult, and it's really not a difficult thing to change, but it does help build your confidence with being able to tinker with your PC by being able to upgrade it yourself. It's not a difficult upgrade, anyone can do this, but I think it's a good place to start if you've not built any PC stuff before. This is an easy way to sort of be able to get to know your components better and also make an improvement, an upgrade on your PC yourself. So obviously there's a bunch of different prices depending on what you're looking for from your PC, and as it said earlier, you know, there's the choice of AMD or Intel as a personal preference. Again, that comes down to price and what you want to buy. Really, there's not a massive difference between the two. AMD are going to be better at some things, Intel are going to be better at other things. They're both good platforms. Let's have a look-see. So the cheapest bundle you can get here is the AMD 3000 series Pro motherboard bundle. So it's a Ryzen 5 3600X, 3.8 GHz hex-core CPU. Very good CPU, perfectly capable of gaming, streaming, editing, whatever you want to do. Just a solid all-round CPU. You're getting that with an Asus Prime B450 MA2 MT, can't read, M80X motherboard. I'm not super knowledgeable on motherboards. They're very complicated pieces of technology with many, many things on them, but they control your whole PC effectively. They mean that the whole PC can communicate together, the graphics card can communicate with the CPU, and everything works. That's how I understand it. So for me, as long as it's a suitable motherboard that, you know, is compatible with the other components, then for me that works. It comes with 16 gig of Corsair Vengeance 3000 megahertz DDR4 memory. So solid little bundle there, £308. That's you know, not an insignificant amount of money, but it's also a pretty damn good deal for a solid PC. Now, if you're going to pair that with your old GPU that you've got, thing is, you don't need to have the most up-to-date graphics card. Like, yes, it's a nice thing to have, but like, for example, I'm looking at building my daughter a little gaming PC, and you know, I want to make sure that she can game on it. She's not going to play anything complicated, but even if I could get something like a 1050 Ti would be decent for her. Maybe something like a 970 would be good, and you can go even older than that. If you look at the PC that I gave away a few months ago, that me and some of the stream team gave away, we used I think it was a 780. I'll correct that if I'm wrong, but I believe we put a 780 in that, and even that was able to game, I think, fairly decently on some like modern titles. But obviously upgrading your CPU and stuff is gonna help improve your PC anyway. So next bundle is a slight upgrade from the previous one. You're getting a Ryzen 7 3700X, which is kind of the next step up from the previous Ryzen 5 3600X. So that's an octa-core, 8-core CPU, 16 gig of RAM, slightly faster RAM, 3200 megahertz. You're getting a GameMax Ice Chill 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler. And the motherboard is an Asus Prime B550A Pro. Again, motherboard's not my speciality. It looks like a decent motherboard. It's got all your slots that you need. And by the looks of it, you're getting 2 sticks of Corsair RAM, and it looks to have the 4 slots of RAM, so you could upgrade that in future. Maybe actually, thinking about it, if your PC already currently uses DDR4, say you've got 16 gig already, that's kind of like a standard that a lot of people have, 16 gig. Say you've got that as 2 sticks of 8, and you buy this as an upgrade, you've got an extra 2 sticks here, your new motherboard holds 4 sticks, you can put all 4 of those sticks in, and you've got 32 gigs of RAM, which is, well, quite a bit more than 16, double in fact. This is a more modern Ryzen 5, so the Ryzen 5 5600X. Again, the same RAM as last time, 16 gig Corsair Vengeance 3200 megahertz, and the same liquid cooler. Is that the same motherboard as well? Yeah, that appears to be the same motherboard. So the only difference between this one and the previous one is it's a 5000 series AMD CPU rather than 3000 series. Okay, down to our first Intel-based motherboard bundle. I myself am running Intel, so this is an Intel Core i7 10700 8-core. This has the GameX Ice Chill 240mm, so that's twice as much as the previous ones we've looked at. 120mm is the diameter of one fan. That means it's a single fan cooler, basically. It's got a radiator with one fan on it, and that connects to the CPU. That's how it cools it. So a 240 means it's got twice as many fans. It's got 2 fans on a larger radiator, which means that you've got a bit more cooling, you've got more airflow. Yep, comes with that. This has an MSI MPG Z490 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi motherboard. I don't think that's what I have, but it sounds close to the motherboard I have. I know my motherboard has built-in Wi-Fi, so that might be similar, but Again, motherboard, good motherboard, suitable for what you're looking for. You know, obviously it's going to fit all these components. That's, you know, one of the great things about FiercePC is they'll make sure it works before they send it to you. And again, the same RAM, we're getting the 16 gig of Corsair Vengeance 3200 megahertz. We'll move from Intel to Intel. So we've got a Asus ROG Strix Z490F gaming motherboard. We've got an i9 10900KF. I believe that's the CPU that I have. It's a 10-core CPU. It's an absolute monster, let's be honest. It's just incredibly powerful. In terms of RAM, we're going 16 gigabytes still, but it's got faster. We're at 3600 megahertz, and it's got RGB, which we all know obviously makes it run faster. It doesn't. It does make it look cool. And then for this one, we've got the Corsair 240mm RGB liquid cooler. So just a different brand of liquid cooler here, but still 240mm. Very, very powerful little PC. I say little PC, not little at all. Absolute beast. But a great bundle here. Briefly just go over the other two AMD bundles that we have here. This is a Ryzen 9 3900X, so octa-core, but that is the top tier of Ryzen 9's Ryzen 9 is the top tier of Ryzen CPUs. You have the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 9. Same with Intel, they have the i3, i5, i7, i9. Your i9s and your Ryzen 9s are the most powerful of their CPUs. 16 GB of RAM, this one's RGB as well, this one's RGB as well, 3200 megahertz, and is that the same cooler? Yeah, that's the same cooler. It's the Corsair 240mm H100i. And then for this one here, it's the Ryzen 7 5800X, 16 GB RAM again, it's 3200 megahertz, and the same all-in-one liquid cooler as this one above, or the Intel one below. See, now people have said to me before that I'm wrong when I say motherboards don't matter. I'm not saying the motherboard doesn't matter. If you're new to PCs and you're new to PC gaming, you're not gonna notice the subtle differences of a more expensive motherboard. Now, obviously, if you're looking for, you want Wi-Fi on it, you're going to have to make sure you get a motherboard with Wi-Fi on it. Some motherboards don't, and you either have to buy a dongle, like a USB dongle, or you can have an internal card so that you can have Wi-Fi on it, or you use an Ethernet cable like I do. So even though my motherboard has Wi-Fi, I'm going to use Ethernet just because it's a more solid, stable connection, basically. So yeah, that feature in particular, yes, I could understand. Same with Bluetooth. If you definitely want Bluetooth, then you want to make sure that the motherboard you pick has Bluetooth. In terms of other things, people talk about like capacitors, like the pieces of the motherboard. They're like, oh, that one's got subpar capacitors. I've never had a problem with the motherboard. Even generally, I will buy the cheapest motherboard that fits the CPU that I want. Can be like £40 compared to you can spend £200 on a motherboard that effectively for me would do the same thing. Yes, the more expensive motherboard has probably got more graphic slots, probably has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all that stuff, which the cheaper one probably doesn't have. But personally for me, I don't really want to use the Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth I'm not too concerned about either. It's not something that I use. So in that case, I'm going to buy the cheaper motherboard for £40 rather than the £200 one. That's all I'm saying with motherboards. I understand that if you're buying an overclockable CPU and you want to overclock, you need to buy a motherboard that is suitable to enable overclocking. If you're specifically wanting to do something like overclocking, like using Wi-Fi, like Bluetooth, like having multiple graphics cards in your PC, yes, you're going to have to look and make sure that the motherboard that you're looking for is suitable. But if you're looking at doing these things, I feel like you're a bit beyond the beginner stage of PC gaming, and that's really where I think these are aiming at. Well, that's really where I'm talking from the perspective of, because I came into PC gaming knowing nothing, and I've learned everything along the way, basically. Now, with all the PCs, you can use my code Colesy, and that just helps support me and sort of tells FiercePC that I sent you and really helps to support me and my channel. The same goes here for these motherboard bundles. If you're buying one of these motherboard bundles to upgrade your PC, or maybe you're buying it as like the first solid piece of a PC that you're planning to build, then please do go and use code Colesy at checkout, because that super helps me out. I hope this video has been super useful to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If any of you guys are struggling to figure out what kind of PC you want, or what motherboard bundle you want, what CPU you need, then please don't be afraid to just drop me a message on Twitter or on Instagram. Both of those are at Colesy Gaming. I'm more than happy to help anyone out who is looking to buy a PC, upgrade their PC. You know, they want to play some PC games, but they don't know what spec to buy. More than happy to help, so drop me a message anytime. Thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time.